You get $15, Dad. My son smirked at me across the polished mahogany table, ready to inherit his mother's $160 million fortune. The conference room at Blake & Associates smelled like old leather and expensive cologne. 20 people watched us, investors, board members, family, all waiting to see the old man crumble. I said nothing, just waited for Adam Blake to read the next page. Evan's face turned white. As the story unfolds, take a moment to like, hit the hype button, subscribe, and write in the comments. Would you forgive him or walk away? The smirk vanished instantly, as if someone switched off a light. His wife, Lauren, gripped his arm, her perfectly manicured nails pressing into his tailored suit. She whispered something sharp. He didn't answer, just stared at the document Adam held. "There's more," Adam said quietly. His voice carried the weight of 40 years practicing law. A conditional clause prepared by Mrs. Harrington 3 months before her passing. I watched Evan's throat work, watched him try to swallow. The room had gone silent. Even the air conditioning seemed to hold its breath. Victoria had been many things: a brilliant businesswoman, a cold mother, a distant wife. But she understood her son better than he ever knew. She understood what greed does to men like him. Men who never built anything. Men who only learned to inherit. "What clause?" Lauren hissed. Her voice cut through the silence like breaking glass. Adam adjusted his reading glasses. "The inheritance is conditional upon maintaining familial respect and business cooperation with Paul Harrington. Any attempt to remove, exclude, or publicly humiliate the co-founder will trigger an automatic review and potential revocation." Evan found his voice. "That's ridiculous. He gets $15. He's already out." "The $15, Adam continued, "was Mrs. Harrington's way of testing your reaction, Evan. This room is being recorded per her instructions." I let myself smile then. Just a little. Just enough for Evan to see. He had laughed at me 10 minutes ago. Laughed when Adam first read the $15 bequest. Made a joke about buying me lunch with my inheritance. The room had laughed with him. Lauren had covered her mouth, eyes sparkling with mean joy. The sound of their laughter had echoed off the wood paneling, had bounced around inside my skull, had crystallized into something hard and sharp. Whatever I was about to do would make him wish he never learned to smirk. "This is insane," Evan said. He stood up, chair scraping loud. "She can't control me from the grave." "She can," Adam replied. And she did. I stood slowly. My knee ached. 62 years and a lifetime of building things will do that to a body. I buttoned my jacket. Ancient thing, 20 years old. Evan wore suits that cost more than my car, wore them like armor, like proof of his superiority. "I'll be going now," I said. "Paul," Adam called after me. "We should discuss." "Later." I walked out of that conference room with $15 in metaphorical pocket and a plan worth considerably more. The elevator ride down felt longer than usual, gave me time to think, time to remember. The polished steel walls reflected my face back at me, older than I expected, tired, but not defeated, never defeated. Victoria had called me 6 months before she passed, late at night. Her voice thin with sickness but sharp with purpose. "He'll try to erase you," she had said. "After I'm gone, he'll paint over everything you built, tell everyone he did it, that you were just the help." I know. I can't stop him from trying, but I can make sure he pays for it. "Victoria, listen to me, Paul. I'm leaving you something. Not money, something better. A loaded gun with his name on the trigger." She had coughed then. Long and wet, the sound of fluid in lungs, the sound of organs shutting down. When she spoke again, her voice was different, smaller. "I failed him as a mother. Let me succeed as a ghost." The elevator opened to the parking garage. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. My car sat in visitor parking. They had taken my executive spot 3 months ago. Evan's orders, small humiliation, practice for the bigger ones. I got in, started the engine, sat there for a moment with my hands on the wheel. They thought this was over, thought the will reading was the end, the period on my sentence. They had never learned to fear me. I intended to fix that. The drive home took 40 minutes through traffic. Rush hour. People heading home from jobs they tolerated, lives they endured. I had loved my work once, loved building things, solving problems, creating solutions that saved lives. Evan had taken that love and turned it into a product, into quarterly earnings, into something you could sell to the highest bidder. My house was empty, had been empty since Victoria passed. She had lived there for 34 years, raised Evan there, hosted dinner parties, built a life. Now it was just rooms, just furniture, just echoes. I poured whiskey, sat in my study. The walls were lined with patents, framed certificates, awards from medical associations, photographs of products we had created, equipment that sterilized surgical tools, machines that prevented infection, technology that saved lives. Evan's office downtown had art, expensive art. Art he didn't understand but displayed anyway because it looked impressive, because it said the right things about the man who owned it. My phone buzzed. Text from Greg. Saw the news. You good? I typed back. Better than good. Need anything? Not yet. Soon. He sent back a thumbs up. Greg understood. Had always understood. We had met in the service. Different branches, different wars, but the same understanding of duty, of loyalty, of finishing what you start. I finished my drink, went to the garage, opened the safe hidden behind old paint cans and forgotten tools. Inside were 3 thumb drives, each one labeled with dates, each one containing evidence, documentation, proof of everything Evan had done. I had started collecting it 3 years ago, right after Victoria's diagnosis, right after she told me what was coming, what Evan would try, what I would need to stop him. Bank statements showing money disappearing into consulting firms that didn't exist, expense reports that didn't match receipts, contracts signed with companies owned by Lauren's family, payments to offshore accounts. Nothing huge, nothing obvious, just steady theft, just careful fraud. Evan thought he was smart, thought he was covering his tracks. He was wrong. I locked the safe, went back inside, made dinner, ate alone, watched the news. They mentioned Harrington Industries, mentioned the will reading, mentioned family tension. They didn't know the half of it. The next morning, security escorted me out of Harrington Industries headquarters. 2 rent-a-cops with apologetic faces and firm grips on their radios. They walked me through the lobby at 9:15 a.m., right when everyone arrived for work. People I had hired, people I had mentored. They watched me leave and pretended not to. Evan had planned it this way. Maximum humiliation, maximum visibility. I had built this company 34 years ago in a garage with Victoria's startup capital and my engineering patents. Grown it from 3 employees to 400. Created products that changed how hospitals sterilized equipment, saved lives, changed medicine. The building was new, 10 stories of glass and steel. Evan had insisted on it 5 years ago, said the old brick warehouse made us look small, made us look provincial, made us look like what we were. A family business started in a garage. I had disagreed, got outvoted. Victoria had sided with Evan. She always sided with Evan when it came to appearances, when it came to image. Lauren waited in the lobby. Watching, she wore white. Probably thought it made her look innocent, pure. Instead, she looked like a shark wearing pearls. "Legacy belongs to winners, Paul," she said as I passed. I stopped, looked at her, really looked, saw the practiced sympathy in her eyes, the performance of concern. She had been studying how to be rich since the day she met Evan at some charity gala, studied it like a part in a play, memorized the lines, perfected the delivery. "You married him for money," I said quietly. But money is just paper with faces of people who used to matter. When his face is on it, you'll wish you had chosen better. Her smile cracked, just for a second. Then the mask returned, perfect, practiced, empty. I walked out into September sunshine. The parking lot stretched before me. My old Toyota sat alone in the far corner. They had taken my parking space months ago. Now they had taken everything else, or thought they had. The drive to the highway felt longer than usual. Every stoplight, every turn, every moment giving me time to think, to remember, to plan. I got in the car, started driving, didn't go home, went north instead, took Route 9 toward the state line. My phone buzzed constantly, Adam calling, Greg calling, a few reporters who had somehow gotten my number, people who wanted a quote, a reaction, a soundbite. I turned it off, drove for 6 hours, stopped at a rest area in Massachusetts, bought coffee from a vending machine that looked older than my car, sat at a picnic table watching trucks roll past on the interstate. The coffee tasted like burnt rubber. I drank it anyway. A text had come through before I shut down. From Evan. Enjoy retirement, Dad. Try not to spend all $15 in one place. I deleted it, finished my coffee, got back in the car. The landscape changed as I drove north. Buildings gave way to trees, towns got smaller, roads got narrower. The air smelled different, cleaner, like pine and distance. I had a cabin in Vermont, bought it 20 years ago when things got bad between Victoria and me, when work consumed everything, when home stopped feeling like home, a place to think, to work, to disappear. Nobody knew about it, not even Adam. I had bought it through a trust, paid cash, never told anyone, never put it on any document that connected back to me. The drive took another 3 hours. Dirt roads, pine trees, the smell of autumn coming early this far north. The cabin sat on 40 acres of nothing, no neighbors within miles, no cell service unless you climbed the ridge, no witnesses, perfect. I unpacked, made dinner from canned soup and stale crackers I had left last visit. Sat on the porch with whiskey and watched the sun set behind mountains that didn't care about money or inheritance or sons who betrayed fathers. They thought they had taken a man. They had only taken a building. I had spent the last 3 years preparing for this. Ever since Victoria told me her plan. Ever since I understood what Evan had become. What he had always been, maybe. What I had been too proud or too blind or too busy to notice. The garage held boxes, dozens of them, files, documents, photographs, thumb drives, everything you could need to dismantle a man's life legally, carefully, thoroughly, no forged evidence, no fake documents, just truth, just reality, just the slow accumulation of his mistakes. Evan thought money made him untouchable. He had never understood that money only matters when people believe in it. And belief is fragile. Belief can shatter. I finished my drink, went inside, opened the first box. It contained every financial irregularity from the last 5 years. Small things, expense reports that didn't quite match, consultant fees to companies that barely existed, travel expenses that went nowhere, nothing illegal by itself. But together? Together they told a story of theft, of fraud, of a man who thought he was too smart to get caught. I hadn't been idle in all the years I was underestimated. The night stretched long. I sat at the kitchen table sorting through papers, building timelines, creating patterns, connecting dots that Evan thought were separate, hidden, safe. Around midnight I called Adam. He answered on the first ring. "Paul, where are you?" "Somewhere safe." "The press is looking for you. Evan gave an interview, said you're mentally unstable, said Victoria's passing affected your judgment." I laughed. Couldn't help it. Of course he did. He's spinning this as elder abuse, says you're being manipulated by competitors, that someone is using you to attack the company. Creative. "Paul, send me the interview. I want to see it." Silence. Then, "You're planning something." I'm always planning something. Send me the link. He did. I hung up, watched Evan on my laptop screen, sitting in his perfect office with his perfect hair and his perfect suit, explaining to a sympathetic reporter how his father had lost touch with reality, how grief does things to people, how he hoped I would get help. The performance was good, almost believable, but I saw what others didn't. The tightness around his eyes, the way his hands moved, the micro-expressions that betrayed the lie. He was scared. Good. I closed the laptop, went to bed, slept better than I had in months. 3 weeks later, the first domino fell. I watched it happen from a diner in Portland, Maine. Breakfast crowd, fishermen and truckers, coffee that tasted like burnt dirt, local news playing on a TV mounted in the corner above the counter. Harrington Industries faces audit questions following anonymous tips to the SEC. CEO Evan Harrington declined to comment. The news anchor appeared worried, the polished, on-camera kind of worry that signals higher viewership, looming controversy, and a story that will draw everyone in like sharks to a wounded target. I ate my eggs. They were cold. The bacon was burnt. The toast was soggy. I ate it all anyway. Tasted like victory. My phone sat on the table. New number. Prepaid. Bought with cash at a truck stop in New Hampshire. Only 3 people had it. Adam called first. Paul? Morning. Did you see? I saw. Silence. Then, the tips were anonymous, professionally filed, someone who knows corporate law, someone who knows exactly what to report and how to report it. Interesting. Paul, I didn't break any laws, Adam. I reported irregularities to the appropriate authorities. That's what good citizens do. That's what responsible people do when they see fraud. He laughed. Sharp and short. Bitter. You know exactly what you started. I know exactly what I started. He'll fight back. He'll hire investigators. He'll try to find you. He'll try. I hung up, paid my bill, left a generous tip. The waitress looked tired. Single mother, probably. Working 2 jobs. Trying to survive in a world that didn't care. I drove back to Vermont. The audit was just the beginning, just the first crack in the dam. Behind it waited years of careful documentation. Witness statements from employees who had been fired for questioning things, for asking why, for daring to notice. Emails recovered from deleted folders, contracts that didn't match what was reported to the board, payments that went nowhere, money that disappeared into holes. Evan thought nobody was watching. Nothing forged, nothing manufactured, just reality, just truth. Evan had gotten sloppy after Victoria passed. Thought nobody was watching, thought his name and his money and his position made him immune, made him safe. He was about to learn different. Greg called that afternoon, my oldest friend, former Marine, built like a brick wall with a Boston accent and hands that could crush concrete. Saw the news, he said. Yeah? Need anything? Not yet. But eventually? Eventually. He laughed, deep rumble. Glad we're friends, Paul. Wouldn't want to be on your bad side. You're not my son. The line went quiet. Then, no, I'm not. Call me when you need me. The days blurred together. I spent mornings sorting evidence, afternoons making anonymous calls to the right people, evenings watching the news, watching Evan squirm. The story grew legs. Financial news picked it up, then mainstream media, then social media. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone knew what really happened. Everyone was an expert on corporate fraud and family drama. I watched from Vermont, from coffee shops with Wi-Fi, from hotel rooms when I needed to move, from the cabin when I needed to think. Watched the company I built start to crumble under the weight of my son's greed. 2 weeks after the initial story broke, the second domino fell. The board called an emergency meeting, demanded answers. Evan gave them performance, gave them confidence, gave them lies wrapped in expensive suits and perfect hair. They didn't believe him. Harrington Industries stock dropped 6%, then 10, then 15. Investors started asking questions. The questions became demands. The demands became threats. Lawyers got involved. Accountants got involved. People who didn't care about family drama but cared very much about money. The second call from Adam came 4 weeks after the first. He knows it's you. Good. Paul, he's talking about lawyers, about retaliation, about going after you for defamation, for harassment, for tortious interference. Let him talk. He wants to meet, to negotiate. He says he'll drop everything if you stop. Says he'll even give you a position back at the company. Consultant, advisor, something. I laughed, couldn't help it. Tell him I'm busy. Doing what? Pouring gasoline. I hung up. The truth was, I wasn't pouring anything. I was watching, waiting, letting reality do the work, letting Evan's own actions destroy him. He had built his empire on sand, on assumptions, on the belief that nobody would ever check, nobody would ever question, nobody would ever dare. I was checking, I was questioning, and I had proof. The third domino fell in November, a whistleblower lawsuit, filed by 3 former employees, people I had never met, people who had their own grievances, people who saw the audit news and decided to speak up, decided that maybe now was the time, maybe now someone would listen. Their claims were specific, detailed, supported by documentation they had kept, evidence they had saved, proof they had hidden. Evan appeared on television looking tired, looking angry, denying everything, calling it a witch hunt, calling it jealousy, calling it revenge from people who couldn't hack it, people who failed. He was right about one thing. It was revenge, but that didn't make the evidence false. I sat in my cabin, drinking coffee, watching my son squirm on national television, watching him use all the words rich people use when the walls close in. Witch hunt, conspiracy, vendetta, persecution. The reporter asked about me. My father is a bitter old man who can't accept that times change, that companies evolve, that sons surpass their fathers. He built something great. I made it greater. He can't forgive me for that. I turned off the TV. Bitter. That was his word for it. As if anger was an emotion exclusive to the small-minded. As if righteous fury didn't exist. As if justice was just jealousy wearing a mask. He laughed at me, humiliated me, erased me. And now he was surprised I fought back. Surprised I had teeth. The first domino fell without my touching it. The rest would be considerably more deliberate. December brought snow and lawyers and escalation. Adam drove up to Vermont with files and warnings and concern etched into every line of his face. We sat in my cabin drinking coffee while wind howled outside and snow piled against windows that hadn't been cleaned in months. He's building a case against you, Adam said. Harassment, defamation, tortious interference. He's hired the best lawyers money can buy. People who specialize in making problems disappear. Let him build. Paul, I haven't done anything illegal. I reported crimes. I provided evidence to the proper authorities. That's not harassment. That's citizenship. That's duty. Adam set down his cup, studied me with eyes that had seen 40 years of legal battles, of fights between fathers and sons, of families tearing themselves apart over money and pride and ancient wounds. You're enjoying this, he said quietly. I'm not enjoying anything. I'm finishing what Victoria started. Victoria wanted him controlled, not destroyed. She wanted him to learn, to grow, to become better. Same thing. You can't learn without consequence. Can't grow without pain. Can't become better without understanding what you are. We sat in silence. The fire crackled. Outside, snow piled higher. The world disappearing under white. Clean. Pure. Forgiving. Unlike me. There's more, Adam said finally. The will. The conditional clause. I can activate it now if you want. He's clearly violated the terms. Multiple times. The parking garage, the forced exit, the public statements, the humiliation, all documented, all witnessed, all provable. Not yet. Why not? Because taking his money isn't enough. I want him to understand why he's losing it. Want him to know it was his own hands that built the gallows, his own feet that kicked the chair. Adam shook his head slowly. You sound like her. Good. She was smarter than both of us, colder, but smarter. He left before dark. Didn't want to drive mountain roads at night with snow falling. I watched his taillights disappear into the trees, watched the snow cover his tracks, like he was never there. Victoria had been brilliant. Cold, but brilliant. She had seen what Evan was becoming years before I accepted it. Seen the entitlement, the cruelty, the emptiness where empathy should live, where conscience should whisper. She had tried to warn me. I hadn't listened. Too busy working, too busy building, too busy being absent when I should have been present. By the time I noticed, it was too late. Evan was already gone, already twisted into something neither of us recognized, something we had created through absence and money and expectations we never voiced. The phone rang. Unknown number. I answered anyway. Dad. My son's voice, tight with anger, vibrating with barely contained rage, with fear underneath, fear he would never admit. Evan. What do you want? Money? A seat on the board? An apology? Name your price and end this. Name it and we're done. I don't want money. Then what? Revenge? You want to punish me for being successful? For being better than you? For taking what you built and making it matter? I laughed. Couldn't help it. Better? Evan, you inherited brilliance and turned it into fraud. You took everything I built and painted it gold while the foundation rotted. You're not better. You're just louder. I'm richer. For now. Silence. Long silence. Then, you can't touch me. I have lawyers, resources, power, real power, the kind that matters. You have debt wearing a suit. Money is just confidence, Evan. Just belief. Just people agreeing that paper has value. And confidence is all you had. Watch what happens when people stop believing. I hung up. He called back immediately. I didn't answer. Let it ring. Let him feel what it's like to be ignored, to be dismissed, to be nothing. The calls kept coming. 5 times, 10, 15, then messages, threats at first, then promises, then bargaining, then begging, the full cycle of desperation. I deleted them all, without listening. That night I sat on the porch despite the cold, wrapped in a blanket, drinking whiskey that burned going down, watching snow fall through pine trees that had seen more winters than I would ever see. That would stand long after this was over. Somewhere south, my son was panicking, making calls, yelling at lawyers, promising Lauren that everything was fine, that the old man had no power, that this would blow over, that money always wins. He was wrong on all counts. I went inside, opened another box. This one contained Victoria's personal files, letters, notes, a journal she kept in the final months when she knew the end was coming, when she knew she was running out of time. One entry stopped me cold, made me read it 3 times to believe it was real. Paul thinks he can save Evan with patience, with love, with time. He's wrong. Our son is broken in ways that don't heal, ways that only metastasize, like cancer, like rot. If I can't fix him, at least I can stop him. At least I can give Paul the tools to protect what we built, what he built, the only legacy that matters. I closed the journal, sat there in the dark with only the fire for light, for warmth, for company. She had known that it would come to this, known that I would eventually have to choose between my son and everything else, between family and justice, between love and duty. She had made the choice easier by dying first, by leaving me the weapon, by building the trap. I should have been angry, should have felt used, manipulated, turned into an instrument of her revenge. Instead, I felt grateful. January came with subpoenas and panic and the smell of desperation. The SEC investigation expanded. What started as routine audit questions became a full forensic examination, accountants crawling through every file, every transaction, every penny that moved through Harrington Industries in the last 7 years. They found things. Of course they found things. I had made sure they would find things, had left breadcrumbs, had pointed flashlights, had opened doors. Harrington Industries froze all executive compensation pending review. The board called emergency meetings. Lawyers filled conference rooms. Everyone covered themselves. Everyone looked for exits. Evan appeared on financial news looking gaunt, dark circles under his eyes, tie slightly askew, hair not quite perfect, still defiant, but the confidence was cracking. The mask was slipping. These allegations are baseless. This is a coordinated attack by competitors and disgruntled former employees who couldn't meet our standards. We will be vindicated. The truth will come out. The host looked skeptical. Professional skepticism. The kind that means ratings. Your father, Paul Harrington, has been mentioned in several reports as a potential source. Some say he's orchestrating this. Do you have a comment? Evan's jaw tightened. Muscle jumped. My father is bitter about business decisions that were necessary for growth, necessary for survival. This is personal for him, not professional. He can't separate emotion from reality. He claims you've committed fraud. He's wrong. The SEC disagrees. The interview ended badly. Evan walking off set, camera catching him ripping off his microphone, his voice cutting through the professional silence. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. You people are vultures. I watched from a hotel room in Boston, meeting with more lawyers, more witnesses, more people who had seen things and said nothing until now. Until someone made it safe. Until someone showed them the door was open. They were speaking now. Voices finding courage, finding strength in numbers. Greg met me for lunch at a place near Fenway. Old dive bar that smelled like beer and nostalgia, like better times, like youth we would never see again. You're all over the news, he said. Underground, but all over. People are talking, asking questions, taking sides. Good. Evan's people are asking about you, where you are, what you're doing, who you're talking to. Let them ask. They might try something stupid. They might. Evan was never good at controlling himself when threatened. Greg grinned. Dangerous thing, like watching a wolf smile. Say the word. Not yet, but soon. We ate in comfortable silence. Greg had been there from the beginning, helped me move equipment into the first garage, helped me pitch investors who thought we were crazy, helped me survive the lean years when Victoria's money ran out and we lived on faith and patents and hope. He had watched Evan grow up, watched him change, watched him become the kind of man who laughs at funerals, who mocks fathers, who believes cruelty is strength. He deserves this, Greg said finally. I know. Victoria would be proud. I looked at him, really looked. Victoria would be horrified. But she'd understand. She understood necessity, understood that some things can't be fixed. Only stopped. That night, I got a call from Lauren. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Listened later in the dark quiet of the hotel room. Paul, this is Lauren. We need to talk. Evan is... He's not well. This stress, these accusations, they're destroying him. Whatever you're trying to prove, you've proven it. Please, for his sake, for the sake of the family, stop. I listened to it twice, heard the performance in her voice, the calculated desperation, the tears that might have been real but probably weren't. She was playing the concerned wife, the woman standing by her man through the storm, but underneath it, something else. Fear, real fear. Not for Evan, for herself, for the lifestyle, for the money, for the future she had planned. She had married money. Money was evaporating. She was smart enough to understand what that meant, smart enough to see the ending. I deleted the message. The net was tightening, slowly, legally, inevitably. Every day brought new revelations, new questions, New witnesses willing to testify about things they had seen, things they had been told to ignore. Nothing I couldn't prove, nothing I couldn't document, nothing that wouldn't hold up in court. That was the beauty of it, the perfection. He had taken my cheek, but not my power. The world would take everything else. When February came, the parking lot carried an atmosphere of conflict, simmering just beneath the surface. I was leaving a meeting with the SEC in Manhattan. Late afternoon, winter sun cutting through buildings, concrete garage where they charged $30 an hour. My rental car parked on level 3 between a Mercedes and a BMW. Evan was waiting. He leaned against a pillar, arms crossed, trying to look casual, failing completely. His suit was perfect. His hair was perfect. His rage was barely contained beneath the surface. I could see it in his eyes, in the way he held his shoulders, in the tremor in his hands. "We need to talk," he said. I kept walking toward my car, keys in hand. "No, we don't." "Dad, stop." The word made me pause. Dad. He hadn't called me that in years, not since Victoria got sick, not since he decided I was an obstacle instead of a parent, a problem instead of a person. I turned. "What do you want, Evan?" "I want you to stop. Stop the tips. Stop the lawyers. Stop feeding this machine that's trying to destroy me, that's trying to take everything." "I didn't create the machine. You did. I'm just pointing people toward what you built, what you created with your own hands." He leaned off the pillar and came toward me, anger radiating from his stride, tension in every motion. "You're ruining my life." "You ruined your own life. I'm just documenting it, making sure people see what you really are. This isn't about business. This is about revenge, about you being angry that Mom left me the company, that she trusted me instead of you, that she knew I was better." I laughed. Bitter sound, empty sound. "Victoria didn't trust you, Evan. She feared you. There's a difference, a big difference." His face went red. "That's a lie. Read her will, really read it. Every word, the conditional clause, the restrictions, the oversight, the trap. She built a cage and left me the key because she knew exactly what you would become, what you already were." He moved fast, shoved me, hard, both palms to my chest. I stumbled back, caught myself against a car. My ribs ached where his hands hit. Pain shot through my back. 62-year-old bones don't bounce like they used to. "You're pathetic," he hissed, getting closer, invading space. A bitter old man who can't accept that his time is over, that the world moved on without him, that nobody cares what he built 30 years ago. I straightened, smiled. Let him see it. Let him see the satisfaction, the triumph. "Hit me again," I said quietly. "Please, hit me again on camera." He looked around, saw them. 3 security cameras, black domes in corners, watching, recording, preserving everything for posterity. His hand fell. I adjusted my coat, brushed off where he had touched me. "You just committed assault in front of witnesses. Want to add to that, or are we done here?" He stood there, breathing hard, fists clenched, war happening behind his eyes, calculation, rage, fear, all fighting for control. "This doesn't end well for you," he said finally. "I know, but it ends worse for you. Much worse." I walked away, got in my car, started the engine, drove out of there with my hands steady on the wheel. But inside I was shaking. Not from fear, from satisfaction, from joy, from the pure rightness of watching him lose control. He had touched me, lost control, shown his real self, one more piece of evidence, one more nail in the coffin he was building for himself. The video appeared on my phone an hour later, sent from an unknown number, but I knew who it was. Security guard, someone I had hired years ago, someone who remembered. 20 seconds of Evan shoving an old man in a parking garage, me stumbling, him threatening, all clear, all perfect, all admissible. I saved it, forwarded it to Adam with a single word. Keep. His reply came immediately. Paul, this is assault. You could press charges, get a restraining order. This changes things. I typed back. Not yet. Let him think he got away with it. Let him feel powerful. The fall is sweeter from higher up. I drove to a motel outside the city. Cheap place, cash only, no cameras, no questions. Paid for a week. Sat in the room with the lights off watching traffic pass on the highway. Evan would be panicking now, realizing what he had done, calling lawyers, asking if security cameras could be erased, if witnesses could be silenced, if money could make problems disappear. It couldn't. Not this time. Not anymore. I ordered Chinese food, ate it cold while watching the news. They were talking about Harrington Industries again, stock down another 8%, board meeting scheduled, investors demanding answers. My phone rang. Greg. You okay? Heard about the garage. I'm fine. Better than fine. He put hands on you. I know. I wanted him to. Silence. Then, you're playing a dangerous game. It's only dangerous if I lose. I'm not going to lose. What do you need? Soon. I'll call you soon. Be ready. I hung up. Finished my food. Took a shower that barely worked. Slept on a bed that smelled like cigarettes and regret. Dreamed of Victoria, of the garage, of the beginning, of when things were simple, when we had nothing but hope and patents in each other. She was young in the dream, healthy, smiling. You're doing well, she said. Better than I expected. I'm destroying our son. Our son destroyed himself. You're just making sure everyone sees it. There's a difference. I woke at dawn, drove back to Vermont. The cabin felt safe, felt right, felt like the only place left in the world where I could think clearly. The boxes were waiting, always waiting. Years of evidence, years of mistakes, years of my son believing he was untouchable. I had 2 months left, 2 months before the board would force action, 2 months before Adam would have to activate the clause whether I was ready or not. 2 months to finish what Victoria started. I got to work. March brought the revelation and the beginning of the end. Adam called me to his office. Real meeting, formal invitation, certified letter, the kind that means serious business. I drove down from Vermont expecting legal updates, strategy discussions, next moves in the chess game. I got something else. It's time, Adam said. We sat in his conference room, same room where Evan had laughed at me, same leather chairs, same view of the city, but different now. Everything was different now. Time for what? The trap. Victoria's clause. The conditions have been met 10 times over. Public humiliation at the will reading. Check. Attempted removal from the company. Check. Assault in the parking garage. Check. Financial misconduct documented by federal investigators. Check. Everything she predicted has come true. He spread papers across the table. Legal documents, dense with language, but the meaning clear, crystal clear. If I activate this, everything changes. The inheritance freezes immediately. Control shifts to a neutral party pending investigation. That party is me, per Victoria's instructions. I have full authority to restructure, to investigate, to remove him if necessary, to do whatever is required to protect the company, to protect what you built. I looked at the papers. Years of planning. Victoria's final gift. A weapon made of ink and signatures, made of foresight and fear, made of a mother's last desperate attempt to save her son from himself. What happens to Evan? He becomes an employee. If we're generous, no voting rights, no control, no access to accounts, salary pending review. Every decision goes through me, through the board, through oversight he can't dodge or buy or threaten. And if the investigation finds fraud? The evidence you've provided makes that inevitable. Paul, he stole from the company. He lied to investors. He cooked books. He moved money to shell companies. That's not allegation. That's fact. Documented fact. Provable fact. Criminal fact. I sat back. Let it sink in. Let the weight of it settle. This was what Victoria had built. A trap disguised as inheritance, a test disguised as bequest. She had given Evan enough rope and trusted that his nature would do the rest, that greed would blind him, that arrogance would deafen him, that he would hang himself exactly as predicted. He had. When? I asked. Board meeting. 2 weeks. March 15th. I'll present the findings, activate the clause. It's all legal. All by the book. Victoria made sure of that. She hired 3 different law firms to make it bulletproof. Spent a fortune making sure it would work exactly once and exactly when needed. He'll fight. Of course he'll fight, but he'll lose. The evidence is overwhelming. The conditions are clear. The will is ironclad. She thought of everything, every possible challenge, every possible escape route. She closed them all. I stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city. Somewhere down there, Evan was in his office, trying to hold things together, trying to convince people that everything was fine, that this was all a misunderstanding, that money always wins. He had no idea what was coming, no idea that his mother had built his prison years ago, that she had handed me the key, that I had been waiting for exactly this moment. Do it, I said. Adam nodded, started gathering papers, then paused, looked at me with something like concern, something like worry. Paul, after this, after everything, what then? Then nothing. It's over. He loses. I win. That's the end of the story. Is it? I looked at him. You think I should forgive him? Move on? Let him rebuild his life? Pretend none of this happened? I think you should consider what you want from this. Revenge or resolution, punishment or justice, because they're not always the same thing. I want him to understand what he did. I want him to know that actions have consequences, that you can't humiliate your father and expect no response, that you can't steal and lie and cheat and walk away clean. I want him broken. I want him finished. I want him to remember this moment for the rest of his life. Adam said nothing, just nodded. Professional distance, lawyer face. But I saw the look, the question behind his eyes. Are you sure this is who you want to be? Yes. Yes, I was sure. I left his office, drove back to Vermont, spent the next 2 weeks preparing, not legally. That was Adam's job. I prepared emotionally, mentally, for the moment when I would face my son and watch everything end. Watch him understand. Watch him break. Some nights I felt doubt, small whispers in the dark, wondering if Victoria would approve, if this was justice or just cruelty wearing justice's mask, if I was doing the right thing or just the satisfying thing. Then I remembered the funeral, the laughter, the smirk, the way he looked at me like I was already gone, like I didn't matter, like I never mattered. The doubt disappeared. Other nights I felt nothing at all, just cold calculation, just the mechanical process of finishing what was started, of following through, of being the instrument Victoria needed. The mornings were worst, waking up alone in the cabin, making coffee, watching sunrise through trees, knowing that in 2 weeks it would be over, that I would win, that Evan would lose, that I would have everything I wanted, and wondering why that thought didn't make me happier. The board meeting was scheduled for March 15th. Ides of March, day of betrayal, day of knives in the forum, fitting, perfect, almost too perfect. I arrived early, took the elevator to the top floor, same building they had escorted me out of 5 months ago. Security recognized me, nodded, stepped aside. Word had gotten around. The old man was back. The old man had teeth, sharp teeth. Adam met me at the conference room, briefcase in hand, files organized, ready for war. Ready? Yes. He doesn't know you're coming. I kept it quiet, kept it secret. Last-minute addition to the agenda. By the time he realizes, it'll be too late. Good. We went inside. The room was filling up. Board members in expensive suits, lawyers with serious faces, accountants with calculators, Evan's people and Victoria's people and neutral parties who wanted to see how this ended, who wanted to be able to say they were there. The air smelled like coffee and cologne and barely suppressed panic. Evan arrived at 10, exactly on time, still playing the professional, still wearing confidence like armor, still believing that image matters, that performance equals reality. He saw me, froze, recovered fast. Professional smile, empty smile. Walked to his seat at the head of the table, the seat that used to be mine, the seat I built from nothing. Lauren was with him, unusual, inappropriate. Spouses didn't attend board meetings, but she was there anyway, dressed in black, looking serious, playing the role of supportive wife, of woman who stands by her man through adversity. I wondered if she knew, if she suspected, if she had any idea what was about to happen. "What is he doing here?" Evan asked Adam, voice tight, controlled, but anger underneath, always anger underneath. "Paul is here at my invitation, as co-founder and concerned party, as someone with standing. He has no authority." "Sit down, Evan." The room went quiet. Adam's voice carried weight. Years of managing egos, years of keeping order, years of knowing exactly when to push and when to pull. Evan sat. Lauren sat beside him, grabbed his hand. Solidarity, performance, fear. Adam opened his briefcase, pulled out documents, started talking, calm, professional, devastating. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to discuss serious concerns regarding executive conduct and fiduciary responsibility. Over the past 6 months, multiple investigations have revealed systematic financial irregularities at Harrington Industries. Irregularities that demand immediate action." He laid out the case. Patient, thorough, methodical, every expense report, every suspicious contract, every shell company, every offshore account, every lie Evan had told, all documented, all proven, all real, all criminal. The presentation took 30 minutes. 30 minutes of facts, of evidence, of reality that couldn't be denied or explained away. Evan tried to interrupt, multiple times. "That's not accurate. You're taking that out of context. Those payments were approved. This is a witch hunt." Adam shut him down every time. "You'll have a chance to respond, after I'm finished, not before." The room watched. Board members taking notes, lawyers whispering to each other, Evan getting paler, sweat on his forehead, hands shaking slightly, Lauren gripping his arm harder, her knuckles white. Then Adam arrived at the finale, the decisive moment, the conclusion Victoria had created years earlier. Additionally, there's the matter of Victoria Harrington's will, specifically, the conditional inheritance clause that many of you weren't aware existed. He explained it, slowly, carefully, the conditions, the triggers, the consequences, showed them documentation, showed them video of the parking garage assault, showed them records of Evan forcing me out of the company, showed them the will reading transcript, showed them everything. "Every condition has been met," Adam concluded, multiple times, repeatedly, flagrantly. "Per Mrs. Harrington's explicit instructions, I'm activating the clause effective immediately. Evan Harrington's inheritance is frozen pending investigation. His voting rights are suspended. His access to company accounts is terminated. Control of Harrington Industries transfers to neutral management. That management is me. These actions are irrevocable under the terms of the will." Silence. Complete silence. The kind of silence that comes right before an explosion. Then Evan exploded. "This is insane! You can't do this! I own this company! I built this! I made this what it is!" "You owned it," Adam corrected. Voice calm, professional. "Past tense, and you didn't build it. Your father built it, you inherited it, and you destroyed it. Those are the facts." "This is a coup! This is illegal! I'll sue! I'll have your license! It's completely legal. Victoria Harrington anticipated exactly this scenario. She planned for it. She prepared for it. She hired multiple law firms to make sure every detail was correct. This isn't a surprise, Evan. This is the consequence of your choices, of your actions, of who you chose to become. Lauren stood, shaking. We'll fight this. We'll sue everyone in this room. We'll— Sit down, Mrs. Harrington. You have no standing here. You're not an employee. You're not a board member. You're not mentioned in the will. You're nobody. Her mouth snapped shut, the truth of it hitting hard. She sat, deflated, performance over, reality crashing in. Evan looked around the table, at board members who wouldn't meet his eyes, at lawyers who were studying papers, at accountants who were already calculating damages, at me. This is you, he said, pointing, hand shaking. This is all you. You planned this. You orchestrated this. You destroyed everything. No, I replied quietly. This is all you. I just documented it. Victoria gave me the tools, but you built the gallows yourself. You kicked the chair yourself. I just made sure people were watching. I'm your son. You were my son. Once, a long time ago. Before money, before greed, before you decided that cruelty was strength and that humiliation was power. Now you're just a cautionary tale. Just a lesson about what happens when you confuse inheritance with achievement. He lunged across the table, tried to reach me, hands grasping, face twisted, everything human gone. Just rage, just hate, just the animal underneath the suit. Security grabbed him, 2 men, big men, held him back. He struggled, screamed, threats, curses, words I had never heard him use. The mask completely gone. The monster fully visible. The room watched my son have a breakdown on camera. Watched him prove everything Victoria had feared, everything I had documented, everything that needed proving. When he finally stopped struggling, when the rage burned itself out and left only exhaustion, Adam spoke again. We're done here. Evan, you're suspended pending investigation. Criminal investigation, federal investigation. You'll be hearing from the SEC, from the IRS, from multiple law enforcement agencies. Lauren, you're not an employee, so you need to leave. Security will escort you both out. Immediately. No, Evan gasped, breath coming hard. No, you can't. We can. We are. It's over. Everything is over. They dragged him toward the door. Lauren followed, crying now. Real tears, not performance, not calculation, just recognition that everything was crumbling, that the money was gone, that the life she had planned was ending. At the door, Evan looked back, found me with his eyes, held my gaze. I hate you, he said, voice hoarse, broken, empty. I know, I replied, but I don't hate you. I pity you. You had everything and turned it into nothing. You had a father and turned him into an enemy. You had a fortune and turned it into evidence. That's worse than hate. That's tragedy. They took him away. The door closed. The room sat in silence. Nobody moving, nobody speaking. Just the weight of what had happened settling over everyone like ash. Adam packed his briefcase. That went better than expected, cleaner, faster. He showed everyone exactly what he is, made my job easier. I said nothing, just sat there, feeling nothing, feeling everything, feeling satisfied and hollow and victorious and empty all at once. It wasn't over, not yet. There was one more scene, one more act, one more moment. The aftermath came fast, faster than I expected. Media got the story within hours. Someone leaked it. Maybe one of the board members, maybe security, maybe a secretary who overheard. Didn't matter. The story was out. Tech CEO suspended amid fraud investigation. The headlines wrote themselves. The video leaked. Social media exploded. Evan being dragged from the boardroom, screaming, breaking, showing the world exactly what he was underneath the suit. Stock plummeted. Investors panicked. Employees updated resumes. The company I built started circling the drain because my son couldn't control his greed, because he had to have everything, because enough was never enough. I watched from Vermont, from safety, from distance, from the cabin where nobody could find me, where I could think, where I could process what I had done, what I had won, what it had cost. But distance wasn't enough. Not for what came next, not for what Evan would do when desperation replaced rage, when fear replaced arrogance. Greg called, voice tight. "He's looking for you." "Who?" "Evan. He's been calling people, asking where you are, what you're doing, how to find you. Sounds unhinged, sounds dangerous. Let him look." "Paul, I'm serious. He sounds like a man with nothing to lose. Those are the most dangerous kind. He's always been dangerous, just usually better at hiding it, usually better at pretending to be human. This is different. This is desperation. You humiliated him publicly, destroyed him in front of everyone who mattered. People do crazy things when they're cornered." I hung up, sat on the porch, March wind cutting through trees, spring fighting with winter, neither winning yet. My phone buzzed, text from unknown number. "We need to talk, face to face, no lawyers, no witnesses, just us. You owe me that much. You owe me one conversation before you finish destroying everything." I stared at it, thought about ignoring it, deleting it, pretending I never saw, moving on, letting the legal system finish what I started. But that wasn't the plan. The plan required one final confrontation, one final moment where father faced son, where truth faced consequence, where everything came to its inevitable conclusion. I texted back, "Fine, tomorrow night, the company, 8 p.m., boardroom. Come alone." No response. Just read receipt. He had seen it. He would come. He had no choice. The anger would demand it. The need for the last word. The desperate hope that he could still fix this. Still salvage something, still find a way out. He couldn't, but he would try. I called Adam. "Tomorrow night. Evan wants to talk. I'm meeting him." "Paul, that's not a good idea. He's unstable. He's unpredictable. He assaulted you once. He might—" "I know what he might do. That's why you need to be there. You and Greg, hidden, watching, recording, ready if things go wrong." "What are you planning?" "To finish this. To end it. To make sure he understands that this is over. That there's no coming back, no redemption, no second act, just ending." "How?" "You'll see. Be there. 7:45, back office. Stay quiet unless I call for you. This is between father and son, between who we were and who we became." Silence. Long silence. "You sure about this?" "I've never been more sure of anything." I hung up, spent the rest of the day preparing. Not physically, mentally, for the moment when I would face my son knowing what I had done, what I had taken, what I had destroyed. Some part of me still hoped he would surprise me, would show remorse, would show understanding, would show something human underneath the rage. The rest of me knew better. I slept badly. Dreams of the garage, of beginning, of Victoria young and hopeful, of Evan as a child. Before money, before corruption, before everything went wrong, woke at dawn, drove south, took back roads, avoided cameras, arrived at Harrington Industries as the sun set. The building looked different now, empty. Most employees had left early, rats fleeing the sinking ship, smart rats. Adam and Greg were waiting in the parking garage. "He's already inside," Greg said. "Been there for an hour. Pacing, talking to himself, might have been drinking." "Good. Let him be off balance. Let him be desperate." We went up the back elevator. The building felt like a tomb, like something that had already passed, already become history. The lights were half off. The offices were dark, just ghosts and memories. Adam and Greg took position in the side office, window looking into the boardroom, camera ready, recording everything, witnesses to whatever came next. I went in alone. Evan stood by the window, looking out at the city, at the lights, at the life going on without him. He turned when I entered. He looked terrible, suit wrinkled, hair messy, eyes red, days of not sleeping, of panic, of watching everything collapse. "You came," he said. "I said I would. I didn't think you would. Thought you'd hide. Thought you'd let the lawyers finish it. Let them do the dirty work while you stayed clean." "I'm not clean. I've never been clean. I'm just thorough." He laughed. Bitter sound. Empty sound. "You destroyed me. You took everything. The company, the money, the reputation, my future, everything. You destroyed yourself. I just made sure people saw it happen, made sure there was a record, made sure history would remember what you really were." "What am I then? Tell me, you seem to know." I walked closer, stood across the table from him. The same table where this started, where he laughed, where everything changed. "You're a man who confused inheritance with achievement, who thought money meant you were smart, who believed cruelty was strength. You're everything Victoria feared you would become, everything I ignored until it was too late to fix. You could have helped me, could have guided me, could have been there. Instead, you worked, you built, you ignored me until I became someone you didn't recognize. You're right, I wasn't there, I was absent, I was wrong, but that doesn't excuse what you became, doesn't excuse the theft, the fraud, the cruelty, doesn't excuse laughing at your father at your mother's funeral. Some things aren't about psychology, they're about choice." He slammed his hands on the table. "I'm your son. Doesn't that mean anything? You stopped being my son when you stopped acting like one, when you decided I was an obstacle, when you erased me from the legacy I built. You made your choice. This is the consequence. What do you want from me? Apology? Begging? What will make this stop?" "Nothing will make this stop. It's already done. This meeting isn't negotiation. It's notification. I wanted you to understand, to know why this happened, to know that actions have weight, that cruelty echoes, that you can't build empires on other people's corpses and expect them to stay buried." He stared at me, something broken in his eyes, something that might have been human once. "You win. Are you happy? Does it feel good? Does destroying your son make you feel strong? No, it feels necessary. It feels right. It feels like justice, but not good. Never good." Silence. Long silence. The building creaking around us, the weight of 34 years pressing down. Then Evan moved, fast, pulled something from his jacket. For a second I thought weapon, thought gun, thought this was how it ended. But it wasn't a weapon. It was papers, documents. He threw them across the table. "Sign these. Transfer everything back. End this. Please." I looked at the papers without touching them. "No! Dad, please, I'm begging you. I'll change. I'll fix things. I'll be better. Just give me one more chance." "You had chances. Hundreds of them. Thousands. You spent them all. This is what's left." He collapsed into a chair, head in hands, shoulders shaking, crying or laughing or both. Hard to tell. The door opened. Adam stepped in. Greg behind him. Time for the final act. "Evan," Adam said, "we have documents for you to sign. Transfer of control, admission of wrongdoing, cooperation agreement with investigators. You sign these, we recommend minimal criminal prosecution. You refuse, we pursue everything, every charge, every penalty, every consequence." Evan looked up, saw Greg, saw Adam, saw the camera, saw the trap closing completely. "You recorded this. You recorded everything." "Yes," I said. "Just like the will reading, just like the parking garage, just like every conversation, everything documented, everything preserved, everything real." "Why? Why this much? Why this far?" "Because you laughed at me, because you erased me, because you needed to understand that some things matter more than money, that some wounds don't heal, that some insults demand response." Adam placed the papers in front of Evan, pen beside them. Official, final, ending. "Sign," Adam said, "or spend the next decade fighting prosecutors. Your choice." Evan picked up the pen, hands shaking, looked at me one last time. "I hope this haunts you. I hope you dream about this moment. I hope it was worth it. It was worth it. He signed, page after page, each signature transferring power, admitting guilt, ending his life as he knew it. Each one a small surrender, each one cutting deeper than the last. When he finished, Adam collected the papers. Done. You're free to go, Evan. Security will escort you out. Don't come back. Don't contact anyone at this company. Don't attempt to interfere. It's over. Evan stood, walked toward the door, stopped beside me, looked at me with eyes that held nothing but emptiness. You're not my father anymore. No, I agreed. I'm not. I'm just the man who made sure you paid for what you did. That's enough. He left. Greg followed at distance, making sure, protecting, being the friend who stays when others leave. Adam and I stood in the empty boardroom, the weight of what had happened settling over everything, the silence heavy, permanent. It's done, Adam said. Really done. He has nothing left. No money, no power, no future in this industry. You won. Completely. Absolutely. Yes, I said. I won. I didn't feel victorious. Didn't feel satisfied. Just felt tired. Like I had run a marathon and crossed the finish line and found nothing waiting except more road. But that was fine. That was enough. I had done what Victoria asked, had finished what she started, had made sure Evan understood the cost of cruelty, of arrogance, of believing money made him bulletproof. The lesson was taught. The justice was served. The ending was written.